Assalamu alaikum, my beloved brothers and sisters. When you move through this world, understand that not every heart is meant to hold the weight of your story. We live in a time where people are quick to speak, quick to share, and quick to expose the most delicate parts of their lives, forgetting that not every listener is a guardian, and not every friend is a safe place. There are pieces of you that are sacred, moments of your life that are tender, and details of your journey that were never meant to be placed in careless hands. When you share your personal data with anyone, you are not just giving information, you are giving access to your vulnerabilities, your trust, and your inner world. And not everyone has earned that right. Protect your privacy the way you protect your peace, because sometimes the very thing you share casually becomes the weapon someone else uses quietly. Guard your story, guard your details, guard your heart, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Your personal data is a trust, and not every heart is worthy of carrying it. There is something profoundly spiritual about understanding that your life, your identity, your emotions, and the details that make up who you are not random pieces of information. They are entrusted to you with purpose. They hold weight, meaning, and depth. The world may tell you to share more, expose more, reveal more, and speak more, but wisdom whispers something different. Wisdom teaches that just because something exists does not mean it should be revealed, and just because someone asks does not mean they are deserving of an answer. There is a tenderness in personal information, a sacredness that many people forget. Everything you know about yourself, everything you carry within your mind and heart becomes vulnerable the moment it is placed in someone else's hands. And vulnerability is not something to be gifted carelessly. The truth is, not every heart is prepared to hold what you share. Not every person is capable of protecting the things you reveal. Some hearts are careless. Some are curious but not committed. Some want to know you not so they can protect you, but so they can evaluate you, measure you, compare you, or use what you said in another moment, perhaps when your back is turned or your guard is lowered. The nature of people is not always kind, not always loyal, not always gentle, and knowing this truth is not pessimism. It is awareness. It is clarity. It is maturity. It is the understanding that trust is a gift, and gifts should not be handed out freely to every passerby. When you consider your personal data as a trust, you deepen your understanding of what it means to protect yourself. Every detail is a form of exposure. Your name, your age, your habits, your weaknesses, your dreams, your fears, your daily routine, your emotional triggers, your finances, your relationships. These are not small things. They are fragments of your inner world, and together they paint a picture of your life. When someone has these pieces, they have enough knowledge to influence you, affect you, manipulate you, or even harm you. This does not mean that every person will use your information in harmful ways, but it means that every person has the potential to, and therefore not every heart should be trusted with such access. Trust must be earned, not on the basis of words, not on the basis of familiarity, not on the basis of time alone. Trust is earned through consistency, through character, through actions that remain stable when situations change. Trust grows through quiet reassurance, through demonstrated loyalty, through repeated moments in which someone proves they can hold what you give without letting it fall into the wrong hands. And until a person has shown these qualities, it is wisdom to withhold, wisdom to stay guarded, wisdom to protect your private world from becoming exposed. Sometimes people share their personal data because they are seeking validation, connection, attention, or companionship. They believe that vulnerability is the path to bonding. And while this can be true in the right environments, it is dangerous when done with the wrong people. Vulnerability without discernment becomes self-betrayal. When you open yourself to someone who lacks emotional maturity, who lacks compassion, who lacks integrity, you are not strengthening a connection. You are weakening your own safety. You are giving someone access to your heart without knowing whether they have the capacity to hold it gently. Your personal data is a trust, because it is part of the story your life is writing. Every piece reflects a chapter, a memory, a decision, a moment that shaped you. And your story is not meant for everyone to read. Some people only deserve to see the cover. Some may be allowed a glimpse of a page or two. Very few should have access to the chapters. And only the safest, most loyal people are worthy of hearing the unedited version of your life. When you share your personal data with those who have not earned your trust, you are inviting them into intimate spaces of your life, spaces they may not respect or understand. Protection of your privacy is not secrecy. It is self-love. It is dignity. It is inner strength. There is a silent dignity and privacy that many people fail to appreciate. The world equates sharing with confidence, but true confidence lies in knowing when to remain silent. True security lies in choosing who deserves your truth. There is wisdom in keeping your personal data guarded, just as there is wisdom in keeping precious jewelry locked away in a safe place. You do not leave valuables on the street. You do not hand them to strangers, and you do not place them in the hands of people who show reckless behavior. Your life, your truth, your personal data. They are more valuable than gold because once taken, misused, or exposed, the damage cannot always be undone. Consider the times you shared something personal and later felt regret. The discomfort you felt came from the realization that you placed a piece of your heart in hands that did not deserve to hold it. That feeling is your soul reminding you that you violated your own boundary. You crossed a line you should have honored. And the regret is not punishment, it is guidance. It is teaching you that not everyone who asks deserves an answer. Not everyone who listens is a protector. Not everyone who smiles is sincere. And not every moment is meant for disclosure. Sometimes life teaches you through disappointment how to guard yourself more wisely in the future. Even in relationships that seem stable, caution is necessary. People change, circumstances shift, trust can be broken, and private information can become ammunition in moments of anger or conflict. Sharing too much too soon places you in a vulnerable position. It makes you dependent, exposed, and emotionally unsafe. Your personal data should be given only to those who have shown unwavering loyalty. And loyalty is not loud, it is quiet. It is proven through actions, not words. There is also a spiritual dimension to guarding your personal data. Your inner world is a sanctuary, and sanctuaries are not meant for public display. The sacredness of your heart is diminished when you expose it to every ear. Your deepest thoughts, your vulnerabilities, your private struggles, they are meant to be shared with a select few, and sometimes only with the one who created you. The more you speak of your private matters to people who lack sincerity, the more you invite unnecessary noise into your soul. Silence protects your spiritual space. Privacy purifies your emotional energy. When you guard your personal data, you are also guarding your spiritual well-being. People often underestimate how easily personal information can be misused. A small detail may seem harmless, but combined with other pieces, it can become powerful. A simple habit can reveal your routine. A minor weakness can expose your emotional triggers. A comment about your finances can reveal your stability. A detail about your relationships can reveal your boundaries. People do not need much information to form judgments or to influence your decisions. Personal data is a map, and maps guide people to places they have no right to go. The more you understand the value of your privacy, the more selective you become with your words. You begin to realize that silence is not emptiness. Silence is fullness. It holds wisdom, protection, dignity, and clarity. Silence prevents misunderstandings. Silence prevents manipulation. Silence prevents people from entering spaces they are not spiritually qualified to enter. You do not need to explain yourself to everyone. You do not need to reveal your plans, your weaknesses, your dreams, or your mistakes. There is power in keeping things between you and the one who understands you without explanation. Oversharing often comes from insecurity, but privacy comes from strength. When you know who you are, when you know your worth, when you know the sanctity of your soul, you do not feel the need to justify yourself through words. You do not feel the need to offer personal stories to earn closeness. You do not feel the need to expose your struggles to feel understood. Maturity teaches you that connection built on exposure is fragile, but connection built on respect, safety, and patience is lasting. And so your personal data remains a trust that must be honored, a trust that must be protected, a trust that must not be handed to those who have not earned the right to receive it. Oversharing attracts harm disguised as friendship. And this is a reality that many people learn only after their hearts have been bruised, their trust shaken, and their spirit wounded. There is something deeply human about wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard, wanting someone to understand the quiet corners of your soul. And because of this longing, people often reveal far more of themselves than they should, believing that sharing personal details creates closeness, when in truth it sometimes creates danger. People confuse openness with connection, vulnerability with bonding, and conversation with safety. But the world has shown repeatedly that not everyone who listens is listening to protect you. Not everyone who sympathizes is sincere, and not everyone who sits beside you is a friend. The gentle trap of oversharing is that it feels harmless in the moment. It feels comforting. You feel lighter, relieved, understood. The person in front of you appears supportive, kind, or interested, and you mistake attention for loyalty, curiosity for compassion, and familiarity for trust. But the people who harm you the most are rarely the ones who appear threatening. Harm does not always enter your life with noise, anger, or hostility. Sometimes it enters with a soft voice, a patient smile, and the illusion of concern. Sometimes harm wears a friendly mask, and oversharing hands that mask the power it needs. Oversharing is dangerous because it reveals your emotional landscape. It exposes your weaknesses, your wounds, your patterns, your insecurities, and your desires. And once someone knows what hurts you, what comforts you, what motivates you, or what frightens you, they have access to parts of your heart they were never meant to touch. A person who knows your fears can influence your decisions. A person who knows your insecurities can manipulate your self-esteem. A person who knows your past mistakes can use them to control your future. A person who knows your emotional triggers can create situations that destabilize you. Oversharing is like giving someone a map of your vulnerabilities. And not everyone who receives a map uses it to guide. They may use it to invade. The painful truth is that some people are attracted not to who you are, but to the information you reveal. They are drawn to your openness because it gives them something to talk about, something to judge, something to use, or something to exploit. They appear supportive, but their support is shallow. They appear kind, but their kindness disappears in your absence. They appear trustworthy, but their loyalty lasts only as long as it benefits them. Harm disguised as friendship is one of the subtlest forms of betrayal because it hides behind affection. It hides behind shared conversations, behind laughter, behind late-night talks, behind comforting words. And while you believe you are forming a bond, you may actually be building a doorway for someone to step into the most tender parts of your life. There is a reason why wise people guard their words. It is not because they are cold or distant. It is because they understand the nature of human hearts. They understand that not everyone who listens is listening with pure intentions. They understand that some people are collectors of stories, secrets, mistakes, and personal details that they can take from person to person. Collectors do not care about your well-being. They care about the thrill of knowing your business. They care about the temporary closeness they feel when you reveal something private. They care about the sense of power that comes from holding information others do not have. Oversharing feeds these people, And when they are fed, they return again and again, not to help you, but to take from you. Harm can also come from people who do not intentionally want to hurt you, but are careless with your information. They may not be malicious, but they are irresponsible. They cannot keep secrets. They cannot protect private details. They cannot handle sensitive information with respect. They share what you said carelessly, casually, as if your personal story is a form of entertainment or something to fill silence. Oversharing with such people places your privacy in the hands of someone who treats it lightly. And once your information leaves their mouth, it no longer belongs to you. It travels through ears you never intended it to reach. The illusion of friendship is powerful. The illusion of support is comforting. When someone appears to care, you naturally want to open up. But true friendship is not measured by how much you share. It is measured by how much they protect what you do choose to share. It is measured by their consistency, their integrity, their silence in your absence. Many people appear warm in your presence but grow cold when you are gone. Many people appear loyal until they are tempted with gossip. Many people appear genuine until their interests change. Oversharing makes you blind to these truths. Because once you start speaking, you become emotionally invested in the connection, even if the connection is an illusion. When you overshare, you create emotional shortcuts. You skip the stages of observing a person, understanding their intentions, assessing their character, and testing their loyalty. You reveal your life before the other person has revealed theirs. You expose your vulnerabilities while knowing nothing about theirs. This imbalance places you in a fragile position. It creates a dynamic where you are more transparent than the person in front of you, and transparency without reciprocity is dangerous. When someone knows you deeply, but you know them shallowly, you become emotionally dependent and they become emotionally powerful. Oversharing hands them a version of you that they did not earn. One of the most deceptive forms of harm comes from people who encourage you to overshare. They tell you they are here for you, that they understand, that you can tell them anything. But their encouragement is not rooted in sincerity. It is rooted in curiosity or control. They want to know everything, not to protect you, but to satisfy their own desires. And because they appear warm, you begin to trust them. You begin to share more. Each time you reveal something, you feel closer to them, unaware that they are extracting pieces of your heart with every sentence. Oversharing is also dangerous because it gives temporary people permanent access. People come and go. Some stay for a season, some for a moment, some for a purpose. But information, once shared, remains. Even when the person leaves, even when the friendship ends, even when the trust is broken. Oversharing binds you to people who are no longer in your life, people who may not hold your secrets with the same respect they once did, people who may speak of your past without considering your present, people who may no longer feel loyalty towards you once the relationship fades, and suddenly you find that someone you no longer trust still carries pieces of you that you cannot retrieve. Oversharing attracts envy as well. When you reveal too much, your achievements, your blessings, your plans, you open a door for jealousy to enter. Some people pretend to celebrate you, but deep inside they carry resentment. And envy is not silent. It finds ways to interfere. It finds ways to judge. It finds ways to twist your words, diminish your success, or discourage your dreams. Oversharing invites eyes into your life that do not wish you well. It invites comparison, competition, and negative energy. And many people learn only after their blessings are damaged that not everything should be spoken aloud. Oversharing also affects your mental and emotional well-being. The more people know about your private struggles, the more opinions you receive, the more judgments you attract, the more voices you hear. You become surrounded by expectations, advice, criticism, and commentary. And suddenly your private battles are no longer private. They are crowded. Your mind becomes filled with the noise of others, and you lose the clarity needed to heal. Oversharing opens the door to confusion. Privacy creates space for clarity. The soul needs silence. The heart needs discretion. The mind needs boundaries. When you overshare, you overwhelm yourself. You scatter pieces of your story in many places, and when you need to gather yourself again, you struggle because parts of you are spread across too many people, people you trusted, people you barely knew, people who no longer have a place in your life. The more you speak, the more you lose your sense of internal refuge. But when you guard your personal data, you create an inner sanctuary that cannot be touched by careless hands. Oversharing also makes you predictable. It makes your reactions easy to read. It makes your boundaries easy to cross. Predictability gives people the opportunity to manipulate your emotions. When someone knows how you think, what you want, what you fear, what you regret, they can shape their behavior to influence you. They can present themselves in a way that aligns with your vulnerabilities. They can mirror your emotions, echo your fears, or pretend to support your desires, all to gain your trust. Harm disguised as friendship often begins with someone listening carefully, taking mental notes, and using your openness as a blueprint for gaining access to your heart. One of the most heartbreaking lessons people learn is that some friendships end not because of conflict, but because oversharing created an unhealthy foundation. When you reveal too much too soon, you create connections built on exposure, not on trust. And when exposure replaces trust, the relationship becomes fragile. The moment things shift, the moment tension arises, the moment loyalty is tested, the connection cracks. Oversharing creates bonds that feel deep but are actually weak because they were built on words rather than character. True safety is not found in how much you reveal, but in how carefully you choose what to reveal. It is found in discernment, in patience, in observation, in silence. It is found in letting relationships unfold naturally, letting trust grow slowly, letting time reveal who deserves access and who does not. Oversharing interrupts this natural process and creates false intimacy. It creates an illusion of closeness before true closeness has been earned. There is beauty in mystery. There is strength in quietness. There is protection in holding parts of yourself back. The world teaches you that being open makes you brave, but being selective makes you wise. Oversharing exposes you to unnecessary harm, but privacy shields you from unseen dangers. Not because people are all untrustworthy, but because hearts are complex, intentions are hidden, and not everyone who walks beside you walks with purity. The harm disguised as friendship is the most damaging because it is unexpected. It enters softly, slowly, quietly. You do not feel it coming. You do not see it arriving. And by the time you recognize it, the harm has already been done. Oversharing is the invitation that lets it in. And by guarding your personal data, you close that invitation. Your voice is precious. Your story is sacred. Your privacy is a form of self-respect. When you learn to protect it, you attract connections built on sincerity rather than curiosity. You attract people who value you without needing to know every detail. You attract friendships rooted in trust rather than exposure. Privacy protects your dignity, your peace, and your future. And this is a truth that becomes clearer with every experience life unfolds. There is a quiet beauty in keeping certain parts of your life hidden, sheltered, and untouched by the eyes and opinions of others. We often underestimate the power of what we keep private, not realizing that privacy is not just a boundary, it is a form of self-preservation. It is a shield that safeguards your inner world from misunderstanding, from judgment, from misuse, and from disruption. In a world that constantly pushes you to reveal more, post more, speak more, and display more, choosing silence becomes an act of strength. Choosing privacy becomes an act of dignity. Choosing discretion becomes an act of wisdom. Your dignity is tied deeply to what you protect. When you keep your personal life private, you honor yourself. You refuse to let your worth be dictated by public reaction or external validation. Dignity grows in quiet places, in unseen decisions, in the parts of your life that others cannot touch. When you share everything about yourself, your relationships, your struggles, your plans, your emotions, you allow others to define you based on incomplete understanding. You place your worth in their hands, and not every hand is gentle. Privacy returns your worth to where it belongs, within your own heart, within your own control, within your own sacred space where no one else can distort it. When you protect your privacy, you protect your peace. Peace is fragile, it is delicate, it thrives in environments where noise is limited, where opinions are filtered, where outside voices are muted. When you expose your life too freely, you invite unnecessary noise. You invite questions, assumptions, criticisms, and expectations. Even the most innocent observers can unintentionally disturb your peace by projecting their fears, their beliefs, or their insecurities onto your life. Privacy keeps the world at a healthy distance. It keeps your mind free from the weight of other people's interpretations. It shields your heart from the turbulence of external opinions. The less people know about your personal life, the less they can interfere in your emotional balance. Privacy also protects your future in ways you cannot always see immediately. Your future is shaped by your decisions, your plans, your growth, your dreams. When you reveal too much too soon, you expose these things to people who may not understand them, support them, or respect them.